Thank you, Mr. Rubinstein. We appreciate that. We will now go to a round of 5-minute questions, and I want to start with you, Mr. Cabrera. I'm embarrassed to say that one of my predecessors from Idaho was sitting on this committee when the Panama Canal was given away. He collaborated with the president, and the result was that we lost the Panama Canal. I disagreed with him vehemently at that time, as did the people of the state of Idaho, which had obviously drastic consequences for him in the next election. But nonetheless, he got it done before he left, and now we're in a position where that particular piece of real estate is incredibly important to the United States from a national security standpoint. And fortunately, there were some provisions in the treaty that was negotiated at that time that give us a foothold. Could you give us your thoughts on how we're going to reverse this situation?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the question. I think President Trump and Secretary Rubio, during his trip to Panama, his first trip abroad, which I think goes to show the importance of this issue to both Secretary Rubio and to the department, he articulated that he felt that the neutrality portion of the treaty, Article 4, might be in violation. And I think he's made great strides, is what I will say, during these past 60 days, in which we've seen Panama be the first country to enter the Belt and Road Initiative and be the first country to exit in Central America. We've seen them also, the potential sale that's moving forward with the C.K. Hutchison to American companies. Again, I think we've made great strides in these first 60 days, and I'm optimistic that we can continue this. I look forward to, if confirmed, working with this committee, working with Secretary Rubio, working with President Trump to continue to make those strides. But one thing I'll add is it's not just the Chinese influence in the canal. You know, we've seen it in all sorts of facets of their society, right? You look at the city of Colón that's received, traffic cameras and streetlight cameras from the Chinese government. Where is the cloud being stored? Who has access to this, right? You look at some of the cranes in Manzanillo Port, which again are Chinese. Do they have access to the technology behind these cranes? As a county commissioner, we have oversight over the port and the airport. And I'll tell you, we face similar questions when we put out to bid cranes at our ports, as to what, security issues might come with. Many times they underbid. A lot of these companies are, they're government owned in China, and they'll underbid, 20, 30% to make sure that you buy their crane. And that sometimes could be an issue because who has access to the information that these cranes might have? Can they stop them at a certain point? Again, it raises all sorts of concerns, but I will say that what I am optimistic is to the great progress that Secretary Rubio has made along with President Trump in these first 60 days. But it is a real concern that they articulate regarding the Chinese influence in the canal. But I would say that, again, it doesn't just extend to the canal, but society and I think also the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, thank you. I wish you well in your endeavors in that regard and see if we can't get our hands back on what I guess was the largest undertaking outside of the United States of the federal government in a construction lane. Mr. Rubinstein, one of the real issues we had with the last administration, and it was a bipartisan concern, it wasn't just myself and the former, at that time, chairman of the committee, did our best to try to extricate information regarding the Rob Malley matter. And we got stiff-armed by the administration and by the State Department. We still don't have a full accounting of that. I'm very much interested in that. I suspect the ranking member is also interested in that. I think I know what happened, but only because of rumors. So will you commit to give us a full briefing on that factually so we can have an understanding of what happened and what we need to do about it?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm also interested in Mr. Malley. I can commit that if confirmed, I will consult with my colleagues, get right into the facts because obviously now I'm not, and communicate with Congress appropriately and lawfully. As I mentioned in my last go-round as a general counsel, I worked very closely with Congress. I'm a big believer in keeping the lines of communication as open as possible, and I fully intend to do the same thing here on this issue and others as appropriate.
Thank you. Mr. Huckabee, to me, the Middle East is changing and has changed dramatically over the last decade or so. And I think people will look back in history and say the Abraham Accords were one of the pivotal points where that change took place. Do you agree with me that normalization between Israel and Saudi is a paramount goal for all of us to engage in to finish out what the Abraham Accords have started?
Mr. Chairman, without a doubt, that's got to be one of the most urgent things to happen. There's no reason that there's not a build upon the Abraham Accords. They were historic, significant in so many ways, and brought the reality that whether it's trade or tourism or the sharing of military intelligence for everyone's safety and security in that region are all benefited. Everyone there has pretty much the common adversary, enemy, if you will, and that's Iran, who seem hell-bent on wreaking havoc throughout the entire world, starting in the Middle East. So I believe the President is in an incredible position to build upon what he did in his first term, expanding the Abraham Accords to include not only the Saudis, but other Gulf state nations. And I would look forward very much, if confirmed, to working with all of you to see that to fruition.
Thank you so much. Appreciate those remarks. And with that, I'll turn to Senator Shaheen.